Okay, so I'm going to break with tradition a little bit and deliver a brief emergency report. Now, I mentioned before that I would hope that the reports in the game would kind of reflect the tempo of the game and not just to have sort of very very kind of boilerplate quarterly reports. And we have a developing kind of security situation now. It's not an external threat. No foreign power has declared war on us, but at the beginning of October, we had a large general uprising in Smyrna. This force is now very depleted. We of course had Omar Pasha's force, which was one cavalry division based there, and we've as soon as this uprising happened, before Omar Pasha even had a chance to engage this force, we sorted our main imperial army and Aritza Pasha south. Because of the size of this force, we could see that this force was pretty substantial. We thought it was probably 10 to 20,000 irregular kind of troops, possibly Greeks, possibly with the assistance of a foreign power. Now, this force was successfully engaged and defeated twice. First by Omar Pasha, who was activated. He was with his command. He was able to act quite quickly and effectively and won an astonishing victory over these forces. Now, we can see that the force comprised about 34,000 men. Omar Pasha's force is actually only 5,000 men, but he's joined, of course, by the garrison of Smyrna, some of which is a full-time garrison. We have a kind of full-time garrison of emplacements and a couple of infantry. Let's have a look. We have a couple of fortress divisions, or 3 fortress divisions, but also in the event of any kind of localized security emergency, towns and cities always generate an emergency garrison forces, sometimes of only a couple of brigades, sometimes a division in strength, depending on the size and the quality of the fortress. In this case, this was enough to successfully defeat, in fact, inflict a really serious defeat. We inflicted about 16,000 casualties, and we only lost 700 men. So his cavalry force pretty much rode this kind of uprising down, and in a running conflict that lasted 5 rounds, so 5 hours in total. This then heavily defeated rebel force was engaged by Riza Pasha as he entered the area, and was not quite finished off, unfortunately, but he inflicted a further 10,000 casualties, took a number of prisoners, and lost only 300 men himself. So we've got immense firepower superiority over them, professional trained troops. And these are, in the last analysis, irregulars that have no leadership, so almost no loss to ourselves. This force is not completely finished off, however. We think there's probably about 5,000 to 7,000 men left, spread over probably, I guess, 9 different kind of regiments, so many of these regiments will be under strength. We're hoping that in the remainder of this month, this force will be completely finished off. Now, the real emergency has developed in Aden. We evacuated our marine force because it was beginning to suffer really heavy losses, desertions and such due to lack of supplies. So we've relocated up. We're moving it up towards our depot in Jerusalem. We're going to enter Jerusalem once we're there, and we're going to rest that force, recoup and reorganize it. Khurshid Pasha's force, which was based in Hadramat, began falling back and was engaged periodically and harried all the way back to Sana'a by Yemeni tribesmen who were kind of smelling blood. And upon arriving in Sana'a, his force, now heavily depleted, whittled down through kind of small actions and through desertions and this kind of thing, has entered Sana'a and joined up with the supply detachment that we sent south through the Red Sea. So he now has supplies, but he's bottled in by a very, very small force. And I've also given him command of the irregular brigade that I sent to Sana'a, which is joined by the generic kind of garrison brigade that's there. So he now has command of all forces in Sana'a. They're very poorly organized at the moment, but nevertheless, they should be able to hold Sana'a for the time being. But the real emergency is this sort of kind of defeat, I guess, has been really capitalized on by the local tribesmen, and we're now confronted not with smaller, irregular, harrying forces that we were driving towards the east of the country, but by a large general uprising of the local population, which is very, very organized. They're coalescing into a military force just south of Sana'a, and that's a pretty substantial military force. That's about a division strength of mixed units. Some of them are kind of regular. They're sort of regular soldiers, of some kind of description. Some of them are kind of levies, cavalry, and they even have a field artillery regiment, either scavenged from our own forces left behind or supplied by a foreign power. But this is a really serious problem for us. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the mouse now chases the cat, and we are in a tight corner. So we're going to have to keep a very careful eye on this situation. We would absolutely rather not lose an entire division. This would result in some prestige loss. But yeah, something to keep a very careful eye on. Talking of prestige, the battle outside Smyrna, even though it's against kind of domestic forces, and culminating with the building of various economic structures, has resulted in a bit of a prestige boost for us. Now, our accumulated prestige is 1,438. We were ranked 7th for most of, all of last year and most of this year. We've been ranked as the seventh power on Earth in terms of our prestige. Austria was ranked at 6. Now we are tying Austria with prestige based on this battle, based on economic structures that we're building, and we've also incidentally now made a move to try and push for colonization, formal colonization of Libya. The only colonial sort of card really being played by the Italians is they've sent a natural society expedition. This will take some time, however, to complete, and we have colonial penetration leveled up enough now across this territory, I think, to ensure that this attempt to colonize Libya will be successful. It's going to take seven turns, so however many weeks that is. And in now 2 turns in a month's time, Qatar will be declared a formal protectorate, and we'll begin to see a bit of a change here. This tire will become actually militarily controlled by us, even though we don't have military forces present. It's essentially local tribes are now functioning in the service of the Ottoman Empire to kind of qualitative change. The British only have 1 turn left to play a stake, so they have to play a stake this time really in order to try and stop us converting Qatar into a protectorate. Hopefully they won't do that. I don't think they will. I'll keep you posted. I should point out also that in the last report I did neglect to mention that a very small uprising in Najaf was very quickly and easily put down with almost no casualties at all. So anyway, a quick emergency report. The next video will be, unless anything significant happens between now and January 1st, will be in January 1st, 1852. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.